Hello, my name is Eric Putkonen. Thank you for joining me. Today we're talking about what happens when you die, a non-dual perspective. I don't call it the non-dual perspective because there's actually several, and this is one of them. The very question, what happens when you die, presupposes that you were born, and in non-duality, that what you really are was never born, so death really does not apply. That's the short answer, but people still go, well, what happens to me? And what happens is this is a identification and fixation on form, conscious awareness, memory, and volition, my personal control. And, that is just tied to the body. Well, the body goes away. Obviously, forms come and go. All forms come and go. But that which you really are is beyond, and is also beyond all forms. It's the substratum. It's the ultimate reality, they say, the self. Everything is the self. Kind of like in a dream. When you dream at night, everything in the dream is you. There's nothing within the dream that is not you. It is all arising from one consciousness. It is all consciousness. It's not other than consciousness. There's no one else in the dream, so you can't say there's something other there. It is all you. And so I've said that if you are dreaming that you're being chased down an alley, you are in fact chasing yourself. There's no one else there. And in my own dream I once had, I had mentioned there was a shifting where you could actually, I actually saw multiple characters' points of view. And each character has its own point of view, its own understanding, its own awareness, its own conscious awareness, memories, experience, everything. They are not NPCs. Every character within the dream has the exact same perspective. And that's really the way it works here. Every body has its own perspective. Every body has its own conscious awareness. Every body has its own memory of what has happened. And it is the self that is playing all of these parts. And so it's not like there's a shift of perspective when this body dies. It's like when this body dies and, what happens when I die? Is there a shift of perspective? Do I go somewhere else? That's still presupposing an individual me, an individual perspective. And that's not you. The individual perspective will end. This individual perspective ends. It is temporary. And when it ends, it doesn't matter because there's other perspectives being played. All the perspectives are being played simultaneously by the self. One consciousness. And every perspective, that being every body, has its own conscious awareness, has its own memories, sensory experience, and has the same sense of I am here. It doesn't change. It doesn't shift. This form just goes away. It ends. But that which you really are is not the form, but the substance. Kind of like what they say in Indian philosophy, the gold ring, the gold plate, the gold cup. All of this various form is just on the surface. It's all gold. The substance is the same regardless of the form. And the substance is consciousness, is the self. And so it's it doesn't change when this form goes away. Nothing is gained or lost. If you take it from the viewpoint of, say, energy, and I mean just generic energy, because I mean, in the law of conservation, energy can't be created or destroyed. It simply changes form. And so, all there is energy. Even, this is energy. Energy. It's just forms changing. Light is energy. Electricity is energy. Everything is energy. It's just forms changing. But from the viewpoint of energy, generic energy, could you think of why it would matter? Why it would care what form it takes? If suddenly the energy that creates this chair dissolves over time and turns into something else, does it matter? No. It's not particularly attached to the chair. Energy is not attached to this body. It doesn't have to continue. It is, in fact, all the parts. It is the chair. It is the body. But it doesn't particularly care if the form continues forever. Matter of fact, it knows all forms are temporary. All forms change. And so there would be no attachment to a form, because you would know that all forms are going to dissolve and change. All forms change. No form is permanent. Just the substance is permanent because it's not created or destroyed. And so when the question arises, what happens when we die? The form goes away, but nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. The game continues on, because the game of life is not dependent upon this body. It's not like the world revolves around you. When this form goes away, other forms keep going. And if you look at the world clock for birth and death rates, there's many, many thousands of new forms starting out every day. Starting new lives to game through this game of life. And when the characters are over, well, what happens? Nothing. I mean, what happens when you're playing a video game? You're playing a video game and you've got your character, and you screw up and you get squashed by something and it dies. And it's like, well, what happens to me when this character? What happens to me when it dies? Nothing happens. Nothing's changed. You reboot and play some more. Or like some of those video games, when you're constantly swapping to different characters constantly. I know I've played a video game, I can't remember the name of it, where you would swap between various characters and do various things. And if one of them was killed, it didn't matter. The others would continue on. You're controlling all the characters. It doesn't matter that one of the characters has been removed. It doesn't matter if a new character is introduced. You're still controlling all of them. So don't get overly fixated or attached to conscious awareness and memory and the sensory experience of this body. Don't worry about what happens to this. It's going to go away. This conscious awareness, this memory, this sensory point of view is going to go away. And nothing happens afterwards. The game continues on. It's the self playing all the parts. That which you really are is still going to continue playing everything. Nothing is changed by death of this body. Nothing has changed. Nothing is gained, nothing is lost. And so that's kind of the crux of it. You were never born. And so death isn't an issue. Nothing changes when this form, this body, goes away. So the question of what happens is nothing changes. The game continues on. But if you have any questions, comments, please post below. Also, there's been quite a few new subscribers to the channel, and so I'd like to welcome everybody. If you want to share the video, if you think somebody might be interested in any of these videos, please share it. But until next time, thank you much.